Thank you.
Honorable George Boakye, I entered the Fifth Parliament with you in 2009. And after one term, you have not returned to the House. I was hoping that you return so that my SP won't come back. Yes, my SP for Boakye is there. Yes. You've also been a DCE previously. Yes. For 8 years you were DCE, and after that you entered Parliament for one term. Now, is there anything else you want us to know about you? Very shortly.
Honorable Chairman, as you rightly said, I'm George Boakye. I was born on the 6th of October, 1956, in Sankore, to Opanyi Kofi Boakye and Madam Ofiecha.
Honorable, we are not interested in those parts. We have the record. So if there's any other thing of interest, we're interested in that you qualify. You've been an MP, you've been a DCE.
Yes.
So that satisfies that.
So I don't need to go through all this.
Very well. So in the last 8 years, what have you been engaged in?
I have been farming, and then again, I am a petrol dealer with Total Petroleum Ghana Limited.
Right. So you've been a businessman and a trader. Yes. And you've contested since then as a candidate for 3 more times. Is that right?
Yes, 2 more times. But yeah, in all cases,
against your brother-in-law.
Yes, by my brother-in-law.
Very well. Yes. And I remember the floor is open.
Well, let me. George Boakye. So the CV you have before us, I find something very intriguing, even though those days in Legon and in Sifon, we all would have said that. When you come to page 3, Electoral Commissioner, 1984, watch it. If you don't put it in context, as Student Electoral Commissioner, yes. You may think that you were some Electoral Commissioner.
Student Electoral Commissioner.
We can understand, and we all use that nomenclature, but just to emphasize it. Then, which committees of Parliament, I see it now, Select Committee on Education, Poverty Reduction, and then House Committee.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
But interestingly, with the House Committee, I see you put 5th Parliament. The rest, you didn't put 5th Parliament. Are you being consistent?
I think it was a typo error.
Okay, that's noted. Now, you would be the President's nominee for the Ahafo region, a region which remains a major food basket for the country. You have a number of exportable products, even in that region. I note with some joy and satisfaction the interest of the people in Ahafo in cashew plantation and then poultry. I'm treating it as if I was talking to the Bono Ahafo region as one whole, even though down divided into 2. What plans do you have to grow the agricultural potential of the region to improve the livelihood of the people in the Ahafo region? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Honorable Chairman. It's true, Ahafo is mainly and agricultural region. And we grew a variety of foodstuffs and then cash crops. Fortunately, the government launched the Planting for Food and Jobs program. And when I'm giving the nod, I will, apart from those who have already enrolled onto the program, I will intensify education on the program so that we get more of the youth to enroll in the Planting for Food and Jobs program, where they will be encouraged to grow some of the cash crops that we are talking about. Cashew, which is not too popular in Ahafo, but some cash crops like cocoa. Cocoa is very popular, and most of the cocoa trees, as we have them now, are diseased. And there's a program of rehabilitating all these cocoa farms. And when I'm giving the nod, I will encourage the youth to enroll in some of these programs so as to be able to get jobs to do.
Thank you, Chairman. Now back to your CV. You were a member of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association delegation to observe the British elections, and then also you attended some other important workshops. Any lessons learned there that you want to share with us?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, the British, I was a member of the Commonwealth British Commonwealth Parliamentary Delegation to observe the elections in 2010. The only lesson I want to share with Ghanaians is that in Britain, elections are very peaceful, and it is not so tense as you have in Ghana. So this is the lesson I want Ghanaians to also learn.
So how do we ensure that there is no tension and it's peaceful and results are declared electronically? What advice do you have for Ghanaians and this committee? Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My advice I will have for Ghanaians and for that matter politicians in Ghana is that we should not see elections as do and die affair. When we see elections as do and die affair, it brings tension. And that is what brings about the problems that we normally face.
Chairman, thank you very much. At some point between 2016 and 17, members of parliament were downgraded by the British High Commission and the Embassy of the United States of America. And in their argument, some members of parliament, including you, hadn't conducted yourself well on what is popularly referred to as MP's visa racketeering. Were you associated with that?
My name was mentioned as one of them. But
what did you do that your name got mentioned?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. When my name was mentioned, I was a little bit embarrassed because I traveled with my daughter to the UK.
You want to provide the name of that daughter?
Joyce Boakye. Joyce Boakye. We traveled to the UK and we procured the visa through the laid down regulations. We did not pass through any third person. And when the news came out, they even said that you used our diplomatic passports. But I didn't use my diplomatic passport. I used my black passport. At that time, the black passport had not expired.
Call it the ordinary passport.
Ordinary passport.
Thank you, Chairman.
So we went. We were to spend 1 month. But after spending 2 weeks, I had a message that I should rush home to attend to an emergency. So I told my daughter to prepare so that we could come back home for me to attend to the emergency at home. And I also needed her home to do some other things for me. But the following day, my daughter came to me and pleaded with me that, Dad, allow me to stay for the remaining 2 weeks with a certain gentleman he had already introduced to me as the uncle. Since I did not marry the mother, I didn't know much about the family tree, so I accepted it. And then I allowed her to stay. I came back to Ghana. So after 2 weeks, he hadn't come. So I kept on calling and finding out what was happening. But in all cases, he kept on postponing her coming. So at a point, I got fed up because I felt as a 38-year-old lady, if anything happened, he could bear the consequences himself. So I left her and didn't call her again because I was even very curious. Then, around 2016, November, I had a call. And when I responded and demanded to know the person who was calling, the person said he was the British High Commissioner. I doubted it because at that time, I never thought I would have a call from such a high-profile personality. So when he demanded to know the whereabouts of Joyce, I told him I didn't know because I thought he was one of these scammers. Then in about 4 or 5 days time, he called again, this time with a text message. Then it dawned on me to be very careful, and then I responded. He demanded to know the whereabouts of Joyce, and I told the commissioner that Joyce was still in the UK. So the following day, I went to the office. They demanded her address, her telephone number. I provided everything, and then came back. So when I came back, I called Joyce again. For about 2 years, he had not received any call from me. So I called her, and the way I was talking, he realized I was very, very furious. I told her to choose between 2 things. Either me, the father, dying, and he remaining there. So he said that, give me 1 week to prepare, I'll come. So this time around, he came back to Ghana. And then I took her to the British Embassy. They interviewed her, and then we were asked to go back. We came back, and then 1 month later, the gentleman who kept her there also came, this time with one of my friends. So when he came, he rendered an apology to me and said that he had deceived me and that Joyce was not the niece, but the fiancée. But I was very furious, but there was nothing that I could do. Because in the tree, like we have a problem, so so good now, the only thing you have to do is to clean it, not to cut it. So, so I accepted the apology. And then he added that he had come to perform the marriage ceremony. I allowed her, we did everything. He went to the court, he did the registration, and then went back. He applied for Joyce to come and then join her. And then on the 30th of October 2018, Joyce was given entry permit. I have the copy here to go back to the UK. So as I speak, she is in UK and was issued a residency card on the 6th of June 2019. So, Honorable Chairman, my argument is this. If my daughter, who was at the center of the whole controversy, was allowed to go back, then describing the whole process as fraudulent, when we say, I can't think far.
Chairman, we didn't describe the process as fraudulent. It's the British High Commission, as you note, and note that it even affected members of Parliament who wanted to travel to the UK. They were either given shorter periods to go or denied visas, because in the words of the British High Commissioner at the time, we had abused our privilege of those visas. Is it correct to say that Joyce Boakye is your blood daughter? Is it correct to say?
Yes, my blood daughter.
She's your blood daughter.
Yes, blood daughter.
So before
the eldest of all my children.
Great. thank you. So before her return in 2018, can you share with this committee what period did she live in the UK? Because again, in the words of the British High Commission, she overstayed her visa illegally and unlawfully. Is that correct?
Oh, it's correct. She overstayed.
Do you find that conduct scandalous and embarrassing to Parliament?
That is, she overstayed all right. But the scandalous part, if you read the statement well, was linked to the acquisition of the visa. That is what you got to.
Sorry, it's my fault. I'm punching
to say that.
Kindly hold on. You said you obtained the visa with your regular passport. Now, how did you obtain the visa? Did you use the protocol services of Parliament?
I went to the office at I think Labone, and that was where all the typing and other things were done.
So you did not use the
for myself. Yes.
You went to the embassy yourself.
Yes.
All right.
You didn't use the parliamentary protocol or a letter from Parliament introducing her as someone accompanying you on that delegation. Is that correct?
I wrote a letter myself introducing her as my daughter.
Do you still have a copy of that letter in your possession?
No.
You want to go through your record and just share it for our purposes, but just to appreciate it.
I don't think I'll be able to trace it.
That's appreciated. So if it was ordinarily, I still will protect the long list that the British High Commission and the shared with us as leadership, as what informed their decision to treat you members of Parliament out of privilege and out of turn in the acquisition of visas. Do you, after hindsight, today, if you had an opportunity, would you want to be associated with such a conduct?
No, because it was too embarrassing, especially the media, the media reportage was very, very embarrassing.
So when the British High Commissioner sent you a text, is that correct? You didn't respond to it?
Oh, I responded.
No, the first very text.
The text came, and at the same time he called.
Do you remember the name of the High Commissioner at the time who sent the text?
John Benjamin.
John Benjamin. All right. So, Chairman, back to the Ahafo region. What are the tourism potentials in the region, and what do you intend to do to improve it for the livelihood of the people of Ahafo? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, thank you, Honorable Chairman. Ahafo is one of the new regions, and it has a lot of potentials. Among these potentials is tourism. For example, if I'm giving the nod, I have three sites in mind. One, there is a village in my brother-in-law's constituency called Chechesiboso. I'm sure he knows that. There is
myself and Chama, we don't know that. What's the name of the village?
Chen Siboso. Chen Siboso.
Siboso.
Yes.
Chen Siboso.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
There is a rock, and on that rock is a tree called Chen. So the Chen is on the rock. That is why it is called Chen Siboso. And according to those, Chen is a
kind of palm tree, right?
Not palm tree. It's I don't know how to describe it.
Chen is a tree.
Yes, one of the species like Wawa, Umina, and others.
Okay.
So when by God's grace you give me the law, that place is going to be developed as a tourist attraction. And then in our hometown, me and my brother-in-law, Sankore, we have the Confanochi tree. Confanochi tree. The one that is directly opposite where the mechanics are, as you drive towards Western region, the Western North. So you will see that and then develop that place to as a tourist attraction. And then the main board, I spoke to my immediate predecessor, and then he made me aware of the fact that feasibility studies have already taken place, and that they are waiting for Tourism Development Authority to come and then look at how best Mimbo can be developed into a tourist attraction. This I'll pursue if by God's grace you give me the nod.
Thank you very much, Chairman. So again, in the Ahafo region, timber. Any hope for timber? Again, notwithstanding the destruction we ourselves have done to our forestry, what plans do you have for forestry development in the region? Thank you, Chair.
Most of the species are being depleted. And in order to restore the situation, what I will do if I'm given the nod is to intensify the afforestation program. Of course, the government has started the afforestation program, but I feel when I'm giving a nod, you have to intensify it. Apart from giving jobs to the youth, it will also help to re-afforest it will help to renew the forest into its original form.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Congratulations. Right here on your left, sir. Yes, sir. Right here. Most of the stools in your region are subjects of the golden stool. Am I right?
True.
Ompukum, Gosu, Achensua, Tepa, Bechem. Tepa is Ashanti, sorry.
Yamfo.
But Bechem is part of.
Bechem is part, Yamfo.
Yes.
Bianquanta.
Yes. How are you going to ensure that the sanctity of the chieftaincy institution and the respect for the golden stool? I know sometimes there are issues of conflicts thereabout, and allegiance is respected by customary authorities to ensure that there is peace within that region. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Honorable Chairman. Fortunately for Ahafo, we don't see much of this kind of disrespect for the golden stool. Almost all the Amahim owe allegiance to the golden stool, and they respect the golden stool. Every Akweside, or in some of the Akweside, some of the chiefs go there and they celebrate with the Utunfo. So I don't think it is any big issue so far as Ahafo is concerned.
My last question is on main timbers and main cashew, the drinks that they started producing from Ayomso and main timbers. What's the status? Because with the demise of Desmond, I think there were some problems within the area with respect to job creation. And what is the status, please? Thank you.
Chairman, thank you, Mr. Chairman. From the briefing I had from my immediate predecessor, Honorable Ivan Boakye, a young forest product has been revamped, especially the Prahu section, with a stimulus package of 6.5 million Ghana cedis. As a result, 700 of the employees from a stimulus package, 6.5. As a result, 700 of the employees have been called back, but we still have a lot of them. So when by God's grace, you give me the nod, I'm also going to find out if we can get additional funds so that the other sections can also reopen and they recall workers who are at home now. Apart from that, too, the youth who are also coming will also get jobs to do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The cashew, the problem, when I went there, the problem that I was made aware was the fact that they are finding it very difficult to get cashew to buy because the market is very competitive. And looking at the competitive nature of the market, if they should buy at that price, they will be running at a loss. So they are producing at a very low capacity as of now. But I'm sure with time, when things improve, they will be able to improve production. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Honorable Santiago.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the Honorable nominee, when giving the nod, who held the Regional Coordinating Council of the Ahafo region. I am saying that when you are giving the nod, you head the Regional Coordinating Council of Ahafo region. Can you tell us the composition of Regional Coordinating Council and some functions of the RCC?
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. The RCC is made up of the regional minister and his deputy, if there is any, and then all the chief executives in the district, all presiding members in the district, and 2 chiefs from the regional House of Chiefs, and all the heads of the centralized departments, but they don't have voting rights. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, Honorable nominee, if you are given the opportunity to recommend for the creation of districts in your region, which areas will you recommend?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. After having gone through the brief from the Regional Coordinating Council, that is what I inherited from the Honorable Boakye. 3 areas have been earmarked: Techimentia, Lim, and then Sankore. So these are the areas that they have already earmarked for district creation if the need arises.
Mr. Chairman, from the handing over notes, your predecessor has recommended that a military camp should be established in Sankore. What are you going to do to ensure this is done in Sankore?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I support that idea because apart from everything, it will offer jobs to our youth. So I support it.
Mr. Chairman, my last question is, the nominee has been a district chief executive before and a member of parliament too. Now you are going to be a regional minister. So you understand the workings of DCEs and the members of parliament. And you agree with me sometimes the confusion that ensues between district chief executives and the members of parliament. Having been a former MCE, having been a former member of parliament, what are you going to do to ensure that you create a good environment in your region for DCEs and MPs to work peacefully with you to ensure that the region is developed?
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. This is one area I will pay much attention to, because as you rightly said, I have operated in all these two situations before, and I know how it is when you are an MP, and then how it is when you are a DCE. First of all, you have to know what brings about the conflict. One, especially when and an MP are from the same party, and then there's an expression of interest to contest on the part of the DCE, it can bring about conflict. And then secondly, when funds are not released on time, it can also, on the part of the MP, when the MP brings a request and it is not released on time, it can also bring about conflict. But in this case, when there is no money in the account and the request is made and pressure is put on the DCE, it can also bring about conflict. So to avoid all this, what I intend to do, when by God's grace you give me the nod, is to organize a breakfast meeting with MPs and DCs thrice every year. During such meetings, I share my experience with my DCs. We discuss the volunteer programs in the region, and then we also listen to the concerns of the MPs, and then collectively we put our heads together and then redress the problems. I think this is what can bring about unity, which is needed for development. Thank you, sir.
Lastly, Mr. Chairman,
Honorable, you have done 4 already. Can we leave it there?
2.5.
Please leave it there, Honorable. Yes.
Honorable nominee, congratulations. Your region is one of the newly created regions. Your predecessor sitting right in front of me here, I believe he has laid foundation for a smooth takeoff. Now, due to the fact that it's a newly created region, the structures are not there. You have an excellent opportunity to write your name in gold. Now, after 4 years, assuming you stay the tenure, what legacy would you want to be remembered for, if you can mention just 3 for this committee? Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. It's through my predecessor, Honorable Boakye, has laid a solid foundation for the smooth takeoff of the region. When I was in this with some friends, as I said that we can equate it to an airport. The runway has been made. It is left to me to sit in the plane and then take off. And in taking off, there are a lot of things that I have in mind. One important legacy that I want to leave in Ahafo is to make sure that the youth in Ahafo, majority of them are gainfully employed. Sustainable jobs, of course. Apart from that too, there are certain things that my predecessor did that I have to make sure that they are completed. That is our road network. If I'm able to ensure that most of our highways and federal roads are completed and well paved, it will be a very good legacy for me. And then finally, girls' education. We want to produce more of the feathers. So I will liaise with the regional girl child education officer and then those at the district level to embark on education to get more of our girls into school. And if this is done, I'll be satisfied when I die and I'm in my grave. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I've looked at the size of Ahafo region in terms of, square kilometers. It's 5,193 square kilometers. Now, my beloved Gushegu municipality is 5,796. That means my municipality is bigger in terms of land size, but of course the population is way lower than yours. Now, that, for me, means that the road network in your region with 6 districts is one that can easily be tackled head-on as a region than I could even do as a district. Are you able to tell us if you are able to, do at least 50 or 60% of the road network in your region? Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. As of now, as I've already said, during my predecessor's time, about 60% of our major routes have been awarded on contract. So my duty as the new regional minister is to ensure that these routes are completed. And this is exactly what I will do. Thank you, Mr.
Yes, Honorable Nilanti.
Mr. Nominee, how are you? How are you? Fine. Okay. My first question has to do with mining. Yes. Earlier on, Honorable Patrick Boama asked you a question about main timber and the role. After timber, mining has become the most predominant industry in the region. What do you think has been the impact of mining on the economy of the region, and especially on the agricultural sector? Because that area used to produce, it was almost a food basket of the region. When we talk about the Ahafo, that's where it comes from.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. To be very honest with you, in a way, mining has impacted negatively on agriculture. Because if you look at where Newmont is operating, people intentionally, when they find out that Newmont's operation is being extended to where their farms are, they intentionally plant crops and vegetables so that when they get there, they'll get compensation. They think more about the money than the crops they grow. They don't look far ahead. So it has impacted negatively on agriculture. But the good side is that if you go to a place like Kenyasi, if you knew Kenyasi about some 15, 20 years ago, and you go there now, you realize that the whole township has been transformed. Look at the type of buildings we have in Kenyasi, and the lifestyle of the general populace. All these things have improved because of the mining. The only problem they have in Kenyasi is their town roads network, which, as I've already said, have been awarded on contract, and I'm very sure maybe very soon the contractor will finish and then they will be relieved. When, by God's grace, you give me the nod, what I intend to do is that I'll call for the SRA that they have signed, the various communities have signed with Newmont. Inspect them and then see whether we can improve upon them. Then I also make them aware that we now have a new region. So the region also needs a social responsibility agreement, quite the extent from what the communities are having. I will impress upon them to build a monument in the regional capital so that in future, when mining in our area is done, people will know the contributions of Newmont to the economic and social development of Ahafo. Thank you, Mr.
Chairman, if the Honorable Neil and yourself will indulge me. Now, the road network between Kenya's Sifidiem and Ntotroso is in such a deplorable state. Now, what do you intend to do about it? Added to what the Honorable Neil and observed, Galamsey, very popular in Kenya, and probably they have not even contributed to attaining the President's vision on fighting the illegal mining. What do you have to say to this? Thank you, Chair.
Please, can you go over the question?
Honorable, he says that Fidiem to Ntotroso Road is in a bad state. What do you intend? Fidiem in Ntotroso Road. What is your plan?
It's true. It's true. It's in a very deplorable state. But my immediate predecessor has made me aware that it is in the hands of a contractor. He even gave me the number. I spoke to him, and then he said he's preparing to come back to site to complete the work. So when, by God's grace, you give me the nod, I'll make sure that this road in particular is completed. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Continue, please.
Okay. In your earlier submission, when you were asked about politics, and you made reference to the UK politics, and you said the UK is very peaceful and violence-free. What do you think are the causes and who are the perpetrators of the perennial political violence in Ahafo, especially between you and your brother-in-law? Huh? What's the problem? How can we minimize it? How can we solve this so that the people of Ahafo will conduct politics in a very friendly and peaceful manner, as you saw in the UK?
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. Honorable, if you recall, 2020 elections, a different picture about Ahafo was painted, which is very good. And my assurance is that I'm going to collaborate with my 6 MPs and then the 6 district chief executives and then regional security council to ensure that this progress that has been made is sustained. I don't think we'll go back. Yesterday is gone. We look forward to tomorrow. If we were children yesterday, today we are men. Especially between me and my brother-in-law. We have to demonstrate to people in Sankor in particular to know that we are not enemies. We have to make them know that we are not enemies. And Honorable Chairman, when my name was mentioned, the applause that came out was from both sides, and I was very much impressed. But for the COVID, most of them would have even come here to give me the moral support. So as for that, don't think about it anymore. It's gone forever.
Honorable Kopuku was also happy when you were nominated. He was also very happy when you were nominated.
Okay.
My last question. My last question. George, I know the area very well, you know. I played football around there, you know. And I went to school in Bechem. For the past year, I went to Bechem Prefect. Yes. For the past 2 weeks, I've done some work within that area, especially educational institutions. You know, Ahafo used to be the hub of education in the then Ahafo region. You went to St. Joseph Training College, or you taught there? Yeah, that was another time when Asiudin Kitia was there. Okay. almost all the schools, especially my alma mater, Bichim Precept, have uncompleted stalled infrastructure projects. Almost all of them. The former minister didn't do well for you. Almost all the schools, Bichim Precept, for example. What are you going to do to ensure that these school projects, infrastructure projects are completed? Because when you go, some of these children are just sleeping on the veranda. What will you do to help? Especially now that we have SHS, free SHS, more of the children are going to school.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. I quite remember when I was in this house, Education Committee, we went around throughout the country, and you realized that there were a lot of abandoned projects dating back from Nkrumah side. And we have some of this in Ahafo, as you are saying. When, by God's grace, you give me the nod, I'm going to take an inventory of all these projects. Those that are from Common Fund, I'll pursue them from the Common Fund. And then those that are from the Fund and Procurement Management Unit, I'll also have to go there and make sure that they are completed. Because after all, it is government money that has been invested in these projects. So count on me that I'll make sure these projects are completed. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Honorable Area.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Your CV says that you were a tutor of sociology of education between 1984 and 1999. And then you became district chief executive between 2005, 2008, and 2001, 2004. So that's an 8-year period. Can you give us an indication of the performance of your district in BEC exams during that period, and to what extent your knowledge of sociology of education impacted on educational performance in your district, and what hope I should have that the Ahafo region will see improvement in education during your tenure?
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. During my tenure as district chief executive for Ahafo and then Ahafo South, performance was very high. The first year, it was about 70%, and then the last year, when I was in Ahafo South, it was about 75%. I'm not too sure, but I am aware that the performance was very impressive. And then my knowledge as a tutor of sociology of education. You know, if you are a sociologist, you understand society very well. And if an educationist and at the same time sociologist, you understand the society and then you understand education. So the marriage between the two is what is called sociology of education. You study and then build education based on your knowledge of the society. So all the needs of the country are fed into the education system, and the system produces what the society needs. So that is what I can say for now. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The thinking is that our educational system is not really serving us well, because you are producing a lot of people who are either not employable, can't find jobs. So do you think that our education system is well suited for our current development?
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. That is why I support the TVET program. it is focused on employable skills. And if we all give that the necessary attention, the issue of youth unemployment will in future be a thing of the past. So I think that we must focus more on the TVET than the liberals, because the liberals will produce people who do not have any employable skills. They want to sit in the office and they work. By this time, because of technology, we don't need a lot of people in the office. We need people who can use their hands to do something and they fend for themselves. Thank you, Mr.
So as regional minister, we are likely to see that in your region, your infrastructure development will be skewed towards technical and vocational education as against grammar education.
Yes. If by God's grace you give me the Lord, I'm going to make sure that the Ahafo vocational school is developed. Here the youth training school is developed. And I'm very sure you'll get one TVET school. And then there's another school that is being built at Akrodi, Science and Technology School. I'm going to place emphasis on this school and make sure that they produce the required people. Because if there are people who have skills.
But there's already a lot of TVET going on. The mechanics, the seamstresses, the hairdressers, they are already doing TVET. What are you going to do about those ones?
That is the former, I'm talking about the formal structure. But when it comes to the informal structure, we can put in place the youth apprenticeship program that is being done by the Youth Employment Agency Authority. So with this, you can make use of skilled workers from the informal sector to train those who will not be able to go to the formal system. They will also learn skills. And then as they learn, you can even tax National Board for Small Scale Industry to give them training, and then when they finish, they will be able to be on their own. So the TVET program is very, very important, and I wish you as legislators will help to promote it, and it will help and save the country.
Honorable, yes.
Good day, Honorable Nominee. My first question is, how many of the government new TVET centers are coming to Ahafo, and where are they going to be put?
According to the briefing that I had from my predecessor, we are getting one.
Every region is getting two, so you have to start thinking about where you're going to put the second.
Okay. I've not thought about where they are going, but now that I have given the indication, if you give me the dot, I will think about where they will be sent to. But in this case, at this particular time, it will be my secret. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
My second question, how many MVTI schools are in your region? And how many local government vocational institutions are in your region?
There is no MVTI school. We have one vocational school at Ahafo, and we have one youth leadership training school at Famede. Apart from this, we don't have any other MVTI school.
Yes, Honorable Jari.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Honorable nominee from my former region. Yeah. At first, we used to be together, now they're on their own. You've been DC for almost 8 years. You have been DC for about 8 years. What's your take on decentralization in local government? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. Decentralization, to me, is the best form of governance. Because in decentralization, we bring governance to the doorsteps of the ordinary person. So, I think it is a good idea, and we have to intensify it and make sure that it succeeds.
One last simple one. I heard you talking about MIM timbers. MIM timbers. What about scan style? What's the status of scan style?
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. Scansal is not producing at a high capacity as it used to do because of financial programs. And as I've already indicated, when by God's grace you give me the nod, I will assist them like what my predecessor did, and then find out if you can get some stimulus package for them to be able to produce at high capacity and then employ more of our youth. Thank you, Honorable Chairman.
Honorable Blackwell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Honorable nominee, I want us to revisit the visa matter. I hold in my hands the letter the High Commissioner wrote to the Speaker dated January 20, 2017. There is an aspect which has not been dealt with by the Honorable Minority Leader, which relates to a 10-year ban that was imposed on you from 2017 to 2027. Is that ban still in force or has it been lifted?
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. I asked my lawyers to write to the High Commissioner, and the feedback I got from the High Commissioner was that he did not mention ban in any of his communications. So that is what I know about it.
So if I can read it to you, Mr. Boakye is highly unlikely to be issued any further visas to visit the UK in the next 10 years for his role in facilitating his daughter's travel to the UK, including should he be re-elected to Parliament in a subsequent election, unquote. This is what the High Commissioner told Professor Boakye, the Right Honourable Speaker, at the time. So is this, whatever, if you don't want us to use ban, the High Commissioner says you are unlikely to be issued a visa in the next 10 years. Do you know if it's still in force? Because if confirmed, the chiefs and people, investors may want you to lead them to the United Kingdom between now and 2027. If this is still in force, it appears that you are incapacitated in that regard. That's why I'm inquiring.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. As I've already indicated, the correspondence I have from him did not indicate anything like that. And since my daughter was made to go and subsequently issue of a resident permit, I know that if I put in an application, it will be accepted and then I'll be given visa.
Meaning you haven't applied since?
No, I have not made any attempt to.
Okay, let me come to my second question. It's quite curious. Listening to you carefully, you have spoken quite fondly of your political opponent in the constituency, who is here, the Honorable Eric Opoku. You say he's your in-law, you refer to him as your in-law. But anybody who does a quick desktop research about the political activities in the Ahafo South, it will appear that it's a war zone. I have here Ghanaian Times, we did not clash with NDC. They attacked us as an Ahafo South MPP candidate, and that is you, 19 September 2016. Ahafo South carries out retaliation attacks, 8 March 2017. Minister accused of assassination plot, that is you accusing the Honorable Eric Opoku. That is dated 4th March 2018. There's another one, Wednesday, 4th April, Ghana Web. Former MC responsible for my attack, and this time it's from Honorable Eric Opoku accusing you. So it's a back and forth. You accusing him, he accusing you. And a lot of clashes, bloodshed, injuries, and all of that. Exactly what's going on. Today you are telling us you are in-laws, you have respect for each other, but from our research, that's not what is transpiring on the ground. So can you tell this committee exactly what is going on?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I've already said, if you look at 2020, there was any incident in Sankore, Afaramata, Ahafo. And I also said that yesterday is gone. If yesterday we were children, now we are adults. So I don't think there will be anything like that. Now, as the regional minister, when it comes to the constituency, it is my duty to protect him, and I will do that.
Mr. Chair, with your leave, what you are saying is that both of you have resolved to work together and do things better than before.
Exactly so. We are going to work together. We are going to work together in the supreme interest of Ahafo and in the supreme interest of Sankore.
So, so this, Mr. Chairman, this peace pipe you have smoked, are all your supporters in sync with you, your followers, the youth who have been pursuing all of these violent tendencies? Are they in agreement, your supporters? Yes. Are they aware that you have smoked the peace pipe and that moving forward there will be no clashes anymore?
Yes, for both sides. Our Oman is even here. He can testify to that. And I'm doing a project now. The gentleman who is doing the electrical works for me is a known NDC man. It wouldn't have been possible in those days, but now it is the interest of Ahafo and Sankore that matters. So never again. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, my final question.
Honorable Ablaka, Mr. Chair, with your leave, this gentleman doing electrical works, you are saying that in the spirit of reconciliation and the fact that he is able to do his work well, it's not that you chose him over your own party member who can do it better. Yeah, clarify, it's important.
Yes, he is a certified electrician. Yes. And when for example, my in-law is doing some work, I'll also ask him to employ somebody from the other side. Oh yes, the bricklayer is yes. The bricklayer is an MPP, and then the bricklayer is an MPP, and the electrician is NDC. Yes, say so to prove.
Honorable Chile, please look at me. Ignore their sides, please.
So the mason is an MPP.
It's okay. We have that.
And then the electrician is an
MPP. Very interesting indeed. Mr. Chairman, my final question relates to a major issue of concern, which is illegal migration. Illegal migration using very perilous routes. A lot of the youth in your region. I have followed their tracks. 2 years ago, I went all the way to Spain, and over 80% of the illegal migrants were from your region. I even made a statement on the floor on my return. This is a matter the IOM, the International Organization for Migration, is concerned. I know that they've carried out a number of sensitization and public education drives in your region. Has this come to your attention, and how do you intend to stem the tide? Because many of the young people lose their lives and they just perish and nobody really hears about them. how do you intend to, first of all, block the channels and then create opportunities for the youth in the region so that they do not risk the deadly Mediterranean journey across the Sahara Desert in search for greener pastures to go to Europe and all of that? How do you intend to deal with this menace?
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. So far as I know, this is not a serious problem in Ahafo. But that doesn't mean that we don't have to put certain things in place so that in future nobody will even think about going. So what I intend to do, if by God's grace you give me the nod, together with the district chief executives and the various district administrations, we are going to come out with a comprehensive job placement and creation program, which will be launched in the course of the year with the cooperation of my 6 MPs. I'm drawing the framework, and if you give me the nod, I will invite them around June. We study it, I get their inputs, and then together we launch it. And this is going to offer skill training, and it is also going to offer placement programs for the youth. I think this will, in future, prevent our youth from traveling outside to some of these areas at the peril of their lives. Thank you, Honorable Chairman.
Somebody here? Very well. No, not you. Honorable Sweeney.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to also take the honorable nominee back to the earlier issue of visas conducts. I listened to the nominee when he gave his explanation, and there were still some gaps in the explanation as you gave it. So you applied for a visa for, as you claim, an adult, to travel with an adult, 30 plus. You were a member of parliament then, yet you were traveling abroad to stay for a month. Was parliament on recess at the time that you were traveling to stay for a month with this adult daughter of yours, but returned after 2 weeks because of an emergency at home without her? And she also, according to your narration, did not return as she promised. Again, you spoke of the relationship with maybe her husband now. Did you say he was introduced as a niece? So I just want to know, first of all, you didn't know your daughter's niece? You didn't know your daughter's niece? Nephew? Yeah, well, so she was a nephew. You didn't know your daughter's nephew? And so he was misrepresented to you. And again, you traveled as a member of parliament intending to stay for a month. Is that what you are telling this committee?
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. At the time of the journey, I was not a member of parliament. It was after I left parliament in 2013. So I was not a member of parliament. And then the second issue, as I've already indicated, I was not married to the mother, and therefore didn't know much about the extended family. So when he introduced her to me as the uncle, I gave her the benefit of the doubt and then agreed to her request.
Yeah, so you applied on 11 September 2012. You were still a member of parliament then when you applied for the visa with her.
Yes, but I traveled in 2013.
Okay. You didn't. Well, you have spoken about the fact that you didn't know the extended family of the mother's side that well. Okay, but let's look at violence also in Sankore. You spoke on Ekosi saying in 2016. I think that was November 2016, where you talked about. Yes, that was November 2016. After it was suggested that, yes, I think my mic is on. Yes, sorry.
There was a follow-up on the visa issue. Since you are moving away from there, if I could have Honorable nominee, please, at the time you applied for the visa, you were not required to give undertaking. You were not required to give undertaking to the High Commission that you will return to Ghana with your daughter. You were not required to give such undertaking.
There was no such undertaking.
Then two, you applied to travel, have a personal vacation, or you were not going in your official capacity for any program in Parliament.
Thank you. I applied to go on my own. I was not going on any official program.
Maybe because he has done a follow-up on it. So this action of yours affected the integrity of Parliament and affected even the institution of Parliament. You already spoke of how embarrassing it was to you. What do you have to say about how this conduct affected an institution like the Parliament of Ghana?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I already indicated, when the whole story came out, but the caption, visa fraud, was something that was not good. But if one didn't take his or her time to read about the contents, one might even think it is a visa racketeering sort of thing. But if you read it, you know the true fact. So by the fact that that thing came out, I will say I will render an apology to the institution of Parliament, because somebody may read the caption, I will not read the body. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So why did you, or do you expect that your adult daughter should, be responsible for what may have happened, yet you didn't consider that in applying for a visa of her? Was she not old enough to have done that for herself? If you are suggesting that since she's an adult, she should be responsible for whatever may have happened, wasn't she an adult enough to also apply for her own visa?
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. She could have, but he decided to travel because I was going to UK. She decided to go with me, but she could have applied on her own. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, were you sponsoring the trip? Were you sponsoring the trip? Were you the one buying the ticket?
Yes, I bought the ticket.
So that's why you did the application together?
Uh-huh.
Maybe a final one on violence in Sankore. It's become a hot spot, especially when elections are approaching. Since 2008, it's been back and forth. In September 2016, you hinted of a reprisal attack on Ekosi Sain. A reprisal attack, yes, on Ekosi Sain program. And this was after you claimed that NDC thugs had attacked your home and destroyed some vehicles and even slashed the finger of one person. Then came 2018, the house of Honorable Eric Opoku was also attacked. And Eric Opoku is your political rival from that same community. In that attack also, vehicles, Toyota Land Cruiser, registration number provided here were destroyed, Kia Spectra destroyed, VW Passat destroyed, and, you know, some goods made away with. Given what you said about reprisal attacks, what will you say you know about this 2018 attack on Honorable Eric Opoku's home?
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. I don't remember saying anything about reprisal attack. I've never spoken to anyone about reprisal attack. I did not make mention of anybody's name as having plotted my attack. I did not do that. Then maybe it might be misreporting. I have never said it anywhere. I don't think Honorable Eric Opoku or other people to come and attack me. Neither will he also think that I will order people to go and attack him. So maybe it's misreporting. I've never said that. And I don't think I'll ever say that.
All right.
Chairman.
Yeah.
Chairman, just one more there. Are you a violent person?
No, Honorable.
Chairman, I know the nominee and I need an assurance from him. There are very respected chiefs in the area. Gosu Omahine. Yamfu, I was there, so I'll follow up Honorable Napo's question. I visited the Yamfu MVTI facility with the Honorable Frida. So you needn't even ask which institution will qualify, in my view, as the supervising minister at the time. The Yamfu MVTI school, the young people were doing very well and they need support. So you'll be working with the Omahine of Yamfu, Omahine of Sankwari. Guarantee us that you will secure and provide for the peace and security of the region, working with the chiefs in that area. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. Honorable Chairman, when you give me the nod, I am going to declare zero tolerance for violence in Ahafo. Yes, I'm going to do it because I need to defend my integrity. I won't sit down for any group of youth to disturb Ahafo, for my name to be linked to that. So I'm going to declare zero tolerance for violence in Ahafo. But before that declaration, when you give me the nod,
if two people are fighting at a mechanics workshop and they attack one another, you will not be there. So don't take on responsibilities which you have no control over. Yes, they have a lot of police who deal with that. No, we are done. Honorable Chief Whip, he finished.
No, I was just on my last question when leader interrupted.
You had
A leader came in with a
Yes.
follow-up. I beg you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. So, and it's actually even just a follow-up. I don't think my that question was, very well addressed. You have denied speaking of possible reprisal attacks. I do have the recording on a Kosi sign. I may make it available for the committee to look at later. But my question really was, what do you know, or what did you know about the 2018 attack on Eric Opoku's home? What did you know about that attack?
Honorable, thank you, Honorable Chair. I don't know anything about it. And I don't think...
Honorable, did you get to hear of that there was an attack on the Honorable Eric Opoku's house?
Yes, I heard it.
Did you get any information apart from hearing?
I didn't know anything about it.
Not the incident happening, after it happened. Did you hear anything?
After it happened, it was all over the air. in the airways, yes.
Chair, with your leave, please, did Honorable Eric Opoku accuse you of having instigated that attack? Did he say that to you? Or did you hear him?
I did not hear him.
Yes, Honorable Chief. Honorable Washi. You know, I served on the Poverty Reduction Committee with him. And we went around a number of the districts together. And most of the time we sat together in the bus and usually have a lengthy conversation. Honorable Bajin, I just want to find out the election between you that occurred between you and Honorable Eric. You acknowledge that it was violently. There were a lot of violence associated with that election. The number of times you and Honorable Eric have contested, there have been a lot of violence associated with those elections, right?
Oh, yes. Honorable Chairman, yes.
And most of the time you accuse each other. This one will say this one is the one in charge. This one said this one is the one involved. So when the 2016, the attack in your home happened, did you reach out to Honorable Eric?
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. I did not reach out to him.
And did you identify those? Were the police able to identify those who were involved in that?
Oh, yes. They were able to identify those who were involved. Some of them were arrested. They were in court, but at a point, I decided to discontinue because I realized they needed more counseling than. And some of them are my friends now.
And will you associate them with Honorable Eric's supporters?
Oh, they were people from Sankore.
Okay. And apart from maybe politics, you couldn't have imagined any other motives apart from politics.
Come again, please.
I'm saying that aside politics, you couldn't have identified any other motives that could have that could have led the youth to do that. Was it politically? You think that it was political, the attack in your residence?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I found it very difficult to understand the reason behind the attack. Because most of the guys were people who were close to me. We talk, we chat. So I didn't know what actually made them do what they did.
But in the 2016, did Honorable Eric reach out to you when he heard about your attacks?
No.
So in 2018, when his residents were equally attacked, did you call him?
Oh, I didn't call him.
So now you are giving us assurance that both you and your in-law are going to ensure that the enclave become peaceful.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ahafo, as I've already said, and Sankore Enclave will be one of the peaceful areas to stay in Ghana.
Is it
under my watch?
Is it because you were coming for vetting, that's why now all these assurances are coming, or this is something that has happened long before your nomination?
No, it's not because of the vetting. Because after all, what do we need in life? Whatever happens, we all die.
Yeah.
And when you die, what account are you going to give?
Yes, I know. Anytime we were traveling, you talk about God-fearing, and so I want to believe you. But I just want to find out, even if you ask me myself now whether I'll contest the next election, I may not be able to give a definite answer because I don't know how long my life how long I will live. But I just want to ask, should God spare us our life, will you contest the next election?
My mandate now, as the president has appointed me, is to coordinate, supervise, the activities of the district assemblies in Ahafo. That is my concern now.
So you're not able
I'm not thinking about elections.
Yeah. Because you know that once you decide to contest, and Honorable Eric decide to contest, naturally, not even you, your supporters will definitely go back to their old ways. Maybe that's why I was just asking. You know, your area has a lot of cocoa. Is it still producing a lot of cocoa?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The production level has come down a little bit because most of the trees are old and they are deceased. The government has just started a rehabilitation program. I'm very sure that in about 2-3 years' time, we'll go back to our normal levels. But as of now, the levels are low. Most of the cocoa trees have been cut down, and they are in the process of being replanted. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much.
Yes, Honorable.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you for the opportunity. I just have some 2 questions for clarification. In the elections that you contested, you had Honorable Eric Oboko as a candidate on the other side, correct?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So, you will describe the atmosphere in these elections as a very tensed one and not a violent one. Would you?
Yes, it was tense, but not violent. Between the two, they don't fight.
So you can talk about political tension and not violence.
Yes, political tension and not violence.
Correct. And those who attacked your residents, you say that they are Sankore boys. They are residents of Sankore. Do you know them as party activists?
Yes, they are all party activists.
As in NDC party activists or CPP party activists or MPP party activists?
Those who attack the blue sides.
Take your time. I'm talking about the attack. Take it easy. I'm talking about the attack on your residents. Those who were identified were party activists, correct? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Honorable nominee, we thank you for attending upon the House to answer questions. Honorable, you are discharged. Thank you.
Thank you very much.